halls of the J Lions Club. Those men worked tirelessly trying to get the county commission to fund a health care facility up here. Well, they had Santa Rosa, and Santa Rosa at that time was in the old building, but they still had obligations to Santa Rosa, and it was a bigger hospital, a bigger community than they was. But anyway, in 1956, with the help of the Lions Club, they finished the county commissioners built a 10-bed clinic here in Jay. And they dedicated that clinic to Dr. Stallsworth, who had been here, had worked here for about 40 years. Now, I think everybody here is too young. Maybe Mr. Diamond can remember Dr. Stallsworth. But all of my age group was probably delivered by Dr. Stallsworth, that had right up the street here, had he out of his house, he worked out of his house. The first penicillin shot I ever got, which was in the 50s, I got from Dr. Stallsworth. And that's when you didn't use disposable needles. That was before that time. But he did do a great service in this community. And I do remember him, well, because he was all we had all the way through high school. If you needed to see a physician, that's the only one that was here. And, you know, not many of our parents had great transportation to take you someplace else. So you came to see Dr. Stallsworth. And his needles were not disposable, like I said. Well, in 1967, the clinic became an official hospital. Until then, it was a clinic. And the Lions Club still tried to oversee the clinic, but they had trouble keeping physicians. You couldn't ever depend on appointments because these doctors worked in Flemington and Century and Bruton, so it was just a hit and miss. So they wanted to increase the beds so that maybe we could keep a good doctor and have good health care here. Okay, let me see. The clinic officially became a hospital in 1967. It was not 1967, yeah. No, 62, sorry. By 1966, instead of 10 beds, we had 30 beds. And tried to keep a full-time physician, which was very hard. Nobody wants to come to a little bitty rural town where they don't have any ties. They're not interested. These guys that's gone to school, even if they had a federal funds to pay back, they would only come and stay until they paid back their obligation to the federal government. And then they left, and then we were out of doctor again. And that was not good for our community at that time. But in 1964, we had a hometown boy return, Dr. Fred West, and he made all the difference in the world, but he could not handle all of the load by himself because it was 24 hours a day. And by the way, there's some good-looking pictures of him over here. That's when he was real young. So I hope everybody will go and look at him because I was impressed. But in 1964, when he came back, there was not many people in this community that had insurance. most of our farmers did not have health insurance. It was only people that worked out of this community and came back that had good health insurance. But June 30th of 1965, Medicare came in, and it just covered everybody 65 and over. It didn't matter if you'd paid Social Security all your life or not. I mean, it was the savior to lots of people. It's very helpful. And as far as I'm concerned, Medicare is still very helpful to people like me. Well, it's less expensive than if you had to buy insurance anyway. But Dr. West really made a great difference in this community, the health care of this community. And I know there's some people here tonight that really remembers Dr. West. I'm sure Mr. Diamond does. Yeah.
Very, very much so.
Fred West, yeah. Now, he saw everybody and put them in the hospital, and he would keep people way longer than insurance would pay for. But, everybody loved him, and he did do a good job, and he loved his people. So he was a great, at that time, he kind of saved us, he was our saving grace at that time. And then in 1966, the hospital increased to 30 beds, I think. Yeah, I got so many dates here, and with all these new beds, we always had to operate on a real limited budget. We didn't have extra money for anything, but with these new beds came other things, like we had to have furniture for those new beds, and we were really struggling to do that. Well, we kind of went to the churches in this area and just talked about that, we had the new hospital, and the things that were really necessary were provided for. But we had no money for other things like TVs, and we had a new dining room, but we didn't have any furniture because there wasn't any money for that. And just talk to people about that. And you can always go to your church and you'll find out you can get help. It may not be just what you want, but it will be good help. But we had one private individual that I am very aware of. Now, I know that there were other private individuals that donated money for certain things at the hospital. But Mr. Desmond Bowell bought the dining room furniture for the new dining room that we had. With the increase in the number of beds, we had to have a dining room. We had not had a dining room that employees could be in. We only had a dining, the dietary department just taking care of patients. So, like I said, we had no money for that, and he just came up and got my furniture. And then, all the big hospitals in Pensacola, if you went to the hospital, you could have TV, but you had to pay a fee. So much a day, to have. Well, like I said, when we talked to the churches about the needs to have good health care here, we talked about that we just, we don't have money for our patients to have TV while they're in our hospital. Well, a program was set up, not by the hospital, but with the hospital, that people in this area, they could donate the cost of a TV in memory of their loved one, or in honor of their loved one, or some people didn't even want their names on the TV. But this community really steps up when there's a real need in the community.